about the story that I somehow had never heard of, and that was Kim Kardashian apparently got robbed. Hannah Claire, can you describe this story to me?
Yeah, I'm really surprised that you don't know more about this.
I knew nothing about this.
A couple years ago, I want to say maybe, it says 2016, she was in Paris in her hotel room, and there was like a knock on the door, and like armed robbers came in and robbed her of all of her like diamonds, jewelry. Like she obviously is very flashy in what she wears. She tends to carry a lot of stuff. I've seen interviews. It says 5 individuals dressed as police burst into the Paris residence where Kardashian was staying during Paris Fashion Week. She was held at gunpoint, bound, and gagged before being left in the bathtub, where she reportedly screamed for help, and they made off with $10 million worth of jewelry. I mean, like, there are a lot of things to make fun of Kim Kardashian for, but I actually think this sounds very serious.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it weird to me that I just always like, you'd think they'd be smart and use costume jewelry when out in public and stuff like that?
Some people do, but some people have real stuff, especially if you're going to like Paris Fashion Week. Like people can spot the fakes. I have heard since like 2 weeks ago, I saw a clip of an interview where she's saying like, I don't keep any jewelry in my house anymore. Like if I go to an event wearing something expensive, I try to take it off and turn it over to security as soon as possible, because this has been such a traumatic memory, which I can only imagine. I mean, at that point she was a mom. I remember, I think Kanye flew to Paris to be with her after this, because like, again, lots of stuff that you can make fun of Kim Kardashian for. This is pretty terrible.
I wonder if Pete Davidson would have done that. Guess we'll never know.
Thank goodness, though.
So speaking to Vice News from a program on robberies targeting influencers, I'm thinking back to Bling Ring.
Yeah.
Yunus Abbas, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, one of the suspects dubbed the grandpa robbers due to their advanced age, arrested by French police for being involved in the caper, says he doesn't feel guilty about stealing from Kardashian. Rather, he blames her for flaunting her wealth. So he's victim blaming. He's passing the buck off. Since she was throwing money away, I was there to collect it, and that was the 60-something-year-old Abbas said, who served 22 months in prison for the heist, but was released due to health concerns. I mean, they said that they were held at gunpoint, right? This was not
5 people dressed as police, so it was a planned attack. It's not like she dropped her expensive bracelet in the street and he picked it up, which I would maybe equate to being like, oh, you're throwing money away. You didn't even notice you dropped a multi-million-dollar bracelet.
This is a sociopathic.
This is like I think this is also like, again, celebrities are arrogant and fully entitled a lot of the time, but like in this one, this person is just trying to be like, I deserve to do this because I don't have the things that she has.
Okay, this is a problem in culture today, because a huge theme in television, in movies, is a disdain for rich people, and the idea that there was an article I was reading today. I was considering covering it. In fact, I might even be able to pull it up right now. An article that they were talking about. First of all, they call Michael Bay a conservative director, which I thought was
question mark.
Which I thought was absolutely hilarious. But basically, they go through and they try to, I believe it was this, and they try to like break down why his movies are the way they are. And one of the explanations that's given to it, I can't see it there, it basically says it's like, I don't just want what you have, I want you not to have it. And that's what it feels like a lot of our society is now.
Well, this is what, I mean, the thing is, like, these people are the people that champion that logic. They're like these millionaires in their houses are the ones doing TikToks about eating the rich. It's like, and that like you can't and I'm not saying she's the one complaining, but like you can't complain when this bites you in the ass, because like you're basically encouraging it.
We have championed this in America in the last several years, that first of all, if pride is now a good thing, well then envy is now absolutely.
We're gonna have envy parades.
Parades in the, but it's envy for a good cause, right?
Yeah.
It's pride for a good cause. It's envy for a good cause. That's their logic,
right? And I was gonna say, it's pretty presumptuous to be like, she's throwing it away by keeping it stored, this like expensive jewelry in her hotel room.
Like, this is a
what do you even mean?
Response.
Like,
this is a sociopathic.
This is someone who's decided she deserves to suffer, and that is obviously pretty morally corrupt.
They should be a little less showy towards people who can't afford it. And so is he saying that she shouldn't be on TV ever? He shouldn't. This
is the thing. Like, I understand, like, if you live an opulent lifestyle, like, there are obvious consequences to how you influence people. And I think being materialistic or braggadocious, like, you incur some negative emotions from other people. But just because she has wealth and money does not mean she should never be able to display it, right?
What's funny is like that type of content always does gangbusters is use anything involving opulence, wealth, extreme showings of wealth. It's why it's why influencers and travel influencers do as well as they do, is because people love to look. I have no idea why.
Do you remember that VH1 show that was like the lavish life of whatever?
Yeah,
it was just like showing you their house. It was like, they got this car.
Do you remember Cribs? I mean, that's what MTV Cribs was like.
This is where the magic happens. I love that they all
I also
that.
think
always in rented houses.
What does this mean? She should be less showy towards people who can't afford it. She's in Paris, staying in a private hotel suite or whatever, going to an elite event, Paris Fashion Week. Like, she is not there to I guess if she like showed up in Uganda where she was volunteering with a school and was like in expensive designer shoes and jewelry and something got stolen, I might be like, this seemed like a poor choice on your part. This is not the environment to be flashing how wealthy you are. But when you're going to an elite fashion event, like, if you have that stuff, that is why this kind of jewelry is made. And I'm not saying, like, you can have your own opinion on whether it should be, but it does actually make a lot of sense that she has it and it's there. Yeah. I don't know. I think this, like, it creeps me out that this guy is just like,
that's so old.
Also wrote a book about it. Wrote a book
no
about
way.
it, but claims to be, but pleaded not guilty.
I wrote who wrote the memoir I Kidnapped Kim Kardashian. So it says, according to Abbas, who wrote the memoir I Kidnapped Kim Kardashian, social media helped the robbers keep tabs on Kardashian's jewels, including the $4 million 20-carat Lorraine Schwartz engagement ring she received from Kanye West.
That's why Kanye West went out there. He's like, "Why did you lost my ring?"
No, I think he really cared about it.
What disturbs me is like this guy's like 60 and he still has like 14-year-old girl like economic like knowledge. He's basically like eat the rich.
I don't believe that's what it is. I believe this is a sociopath who's using his own justification for
he even
his
says
actions.
he like in circles as he recalled thinking she's got a lot of money, this lady doesn't care. Like, what do you mean you robbed her at gunpoint? Like,
yeah, you like
you left her tied up in a bathtub. Like, that's not the same thing.
This is like a semi-violent crime. Like, I don't understand.
Violent, yeah.
This goes back years of television programming, years of movies where it's okay to rob from the rich people because they have so much of it that and no one here stands for wealthy douchebags, but the idea that greater good is somehow a reasonable defense when you tied a woman up and held her at gunpoint is I'm not having it. Like, it's just not.
It's just so strange. And like, I know we do a fair amount of being like, why are celebrities the way they are? Yeah. Like, they're so out of touch. But on the other hand, I don't think them being out of touch and having expensive jewelry is not an excuse to rob someone at gunpoint.
Now, if she's like walking down a dark alley by herself at 2 a.m. With that jewelry on in a bad neighborhood, I'm gonna still feel bad for her that it happened.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna say, like, we make choices in the world. You have to be that's what happens.
Like, everyone has to be conscious of their surroundings, including famous people. Again, I stand by, like, if she were out and about and like left her $100,000 bracelet on a table and didn't come back for it and didn't worry about it, like, yeah, that would seem like throwing your money away for me. Like, you have so many nice things you can afford to lose an expensive piece of jewelry, but that is not what happened.
And as you said, it's like for a fashion thing. Like, she needs to like be like dolled up to like this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's the kind of event where like people, I do know, like, Blake Lively famously has like, I think, a $3 or $4 million engagement ring that Ryan Reynolds gave her, and she wears a fake most places, like, every day because it's so expensive. I've known a lot of people do this, but if you're going to a fashion event, like, there are people who are trained to be able to spot fake jewelry. Like, it would then be a tabloid story. Kim Kardashian wears fake jewelry to Paris Fashion Week, and that would also be bad. Like, it's a weird position to be in that most of us will never relate to, and I don't know.
It does feel like society has tried to tell, like, this type of logic is born out of a society that's telling people that it's okay to do so because they have so much, you're allowed to steal from them.
It comes back to like the equity culture that comes with some woke.
And equity is maybe the most frustrating thing in the world to me because I really do believe that it's done maliciously and it's just done for people to just not. A lot of people just don't understand that equity and equality aren't the same thing, and they don't realize that when they're saying equity, what they're saying is to chop you off the knees to raise somebody else up. It's one of the problems I have with shows like She-Hulk tearing down Bruce Banner for the sake of raising another character, is that it's never about raising yourself up anymore. And I do partly put that at the feet of America, which has made it harder and harder. Like, when I watch these old shows, right, there's a lot of hope in the middle class there of getting out of your middle class lifestyle to a higher level. Now people are just struggling to even make it to the middle class. And there's a lot of resentment there. I don't discount the problem that resentment creates, but it's still on us to act responsibly with it,
And there's this concept of the disappearing middle class, which is a socioeconomic, like there really are few people who are in the middle class, but I also think we see it in culture and in media. Like Instagram directs you to elite wealthy people, right? Yep. And maybe like I'm trying to think of who is middle class. Like you might see some like stereotypical like mommy vloggers, right? Who live in the suburbs. They live in a nice house, but not like a Kim Kardashian house. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't get exposed to like what the middle happy tier is, and so most of us are left feeling resentful of what elite, people on elite socioeconomic platforms have. And that's where I think this like claim, like, yeah, I don't feel bad about it because like she has something that I do. And I do think the Kardashians are uniquely situated to be vulnerable to this because the accusation is that like never had to work for their money. Yeah. Which like,
thank you.
They did have a weird launch into fame and they were born into wealthy families, but like I actually do think a lot of them do
a lot of work. And that's another part of my problem is like people, what is it like? Loath I am to say Dave Ramsey, but like what 7% of the millionaires in America inherited their wealth, and the rest of them all achieved it on their own. Yeah, right. That is not common. Okay, and when it does come with somebody like a Kardashian or even Donald Trump, where like his dad gave him $1 million, like you do know that million and billion are like way different, right? Yeah. And getting to there takes an incredible amount of prowess in business and a certain amount of ruthlessness, sure.
Right. But like if you were given
my dude Darius Harvey, my legendary sugar daddy, once again drops a nice stack of 99.99. Brother,
I think there's more to discuss here. I do. So there was also this story about arrest made in connection to Mariah Carey, a crime spree in her neighborhood. So it's like, I really do think that a lot of people think that it's just okay to steal from rich people because they have money, right? We criticize celebrities all the time here. That's not a problem. But they didn't just steal from Kim Kardashian. They
targeted her.
Well, I'm not just that, but they incurred physical violence on her. But holding somebody at gunpoint in America, any type of felony involving a weapon is automatic life sentence, isn't it?
And then to write a book off of it is crazy. In America, there are certain laws, and it depends, but like a lot of families will sue. Like,
thank you.
Thanks, Darius.
Is it worth being rich at this point? Like, I feel like
so that everyone can hate you.
Everyone hates you. Like every rich like
you guys find most flights relaxing. I really like them.
I don't know if relaxing is the term. I think like endearing for me at least.
Okay,
we love it.
Yeah. So like everyone hates you. Like typically all the like super affluent people that I know, like their families are like infinitely like dysfunctional. It's either like insane drug use or like the parent they don't spend any time with their kids, or the kids hate the parents.
Well, that's how like the upper 1% stays the 1% because they're raised by nannies and staff.
I think that like we know better at this point in life. Like money does not get you out of dysfunction. Dysfunction just looks a little bit different when you're in poverty versus when you're in when you have extreme wealth, and ultimately raising a materialistic culture that sees like the key to being happy as the big house or being able to afford a nanny or being able to buy your kid a car or whatever else. Like if you don't have any moral ties behind it, if you don't know why that kind of lifestyle is important to you, because you're providing security, because it gives you the flexibility to spend more time with your family, or like whatever your like actual values are, if they're not tied to your material goals, then you are left empty and you create empty children and you create an empty family.
Is this partially because we're creating this may seem off topic, but I don't think it is, a lonelier society than we ever have before, meaning like valuing money but we don't value family the way we used to.
I think we discourage attachment, right? Yes. Like think about, I think men and women hear this, but I know definitely young women hear this, like don't get too serious when you're too young. You have like a whole life. You could be anyone in the whole world. Whereas like I think of Blake Masters in Arizona. I won't get political, but he is a successful Silicon Valley venture capitalist. He just won his race in Arizona, and he is married to his high school sweetheart who he met while living in Arizona. Like,
Legend.
I think that people are taught that interpersonal connection slows you down from success, and that's just fundamentally not true. And it's a lie that men and women have been taught for decades, leaving them lonelier and more detached. Which, you know, who benefits from that? Amazon, Google, who gets you, or like people who get to watch Netflix, people who have you
like
watch more content.
About that, yeah, so that you're not going out with your friends or hanging out with your girlfriend. You're watching, you're living vicariously through the fake lives of those you're seeing in movies and on television. I also want to know if you guys believe that this is just that the culture of envy has grown. Not just envy, but like the jealousy is more palpable than it ever was when we were younger. When I was younger and I watched people talk about the rich or even class divide, it was done in the tone of like, I could get and raise myself out of this and reach the next level. And now I don't hear that discussion anymore.
I don't know if envy, I think nihilism. And I'll tell you why. Because like just hearing both of you, what immediately came to mind is like, what is a reason worth living? And not to get too philosophical, but like...
No, please, get philosophical.
Well, I will then. Well, recently I achieved like a personal goal that I had, like, not recently, like a bit in the past. I had reached like a personal goal that I had set for myself, and I like finally reached it. And as some of you know, I'm from Puerto Rico, so like a majority of my family and friends are either there or like scattered across like parts of the U.S. that are not here. And I really wanted to celebrate it with someone. And I kind of realized that the people that I wanted to celebrate with the most, like, were not within my vicinity. And like a moment that I thought was gonna be like one of like the most fulfilling moments of my life became a moment of like real somber reflection. And it like slapped me in the face. And I compare that, like a life goal that I had for like the longest, to like now like a goal that I've had like independently with a partner that I've like met recently, where like we just want to learn how to cook, you know, like high quality like food, like let's say like Michelin grade, like literally to that point. We want to like independently like reach a level of perfection with our cooking that's like, even if it's just for us, like to that grade.
Yeah. And
it's like this other thing I have been dreaming of for like literally since I was a child, that I got it. And like like I didn't realize the satisfaction of it being personal, like held to no regard, like the fact that I didn't have anything to celebrate it. Whereas where it's like, it's no longer personal, it's like a shared goal, which is like increase the beauty of it like tenfold. It's really like giving me some perspective of like what is the meaning of life. And at this point, I think it's like to share beautiful things with the people you love, and like anything else that's individualistic just like holds no value, like truly.
Yeah, I think it's good to have individual goals, and like they can be very meaningful, but I just know, like, on my personal experience, having people celebrate things that you achieve with you is really meaningful. And also being able to celebrate people you care about, like when you see someone you care about a lot achieve something they are working hard towards, and you get to celebrate with them, like that is also very meaningful. I think we are left in this strange culture of like, I'm not ready and I have to put off making both like romantic, like deep romantic relationships, but also like having close friendships until I'm at a place in my life in the future, whether that's like I'm more established in my career and I know I'm going to be living in this city for a long time, and like we put off building these roadblocks that make a meaningful life all the time for basically no reason. Like things are better in community, and that doesn't mean you have to be an extrovert. Like you can be super introverted and still like be there for people, be around people, and cultivate like a meaningful life. Because
I'd like to think that that's true, because I'm somehow managing to make it there. Like I remember when I first got sober, and I was struggling. There was a lot of it was almost entirely individualistic because you can't really do it for someone else. You have to do it for yourself, and
you won't do it until you yourself are ready.
Yes. So there's a shifting in life goals that comes with that evolution. And it was basically, it's like, first focus on yourself now to get to take care of this, and then you can worry about a future with someone else, or your ability to help even if you're not talking about a relationship, if you're talking about your ability to help your family or to help other people, you can worry about that once you've gotten yourself right.
Yeah.
Now, the longer you have under your belt, the more you can kind of start shifting your focus over to those things. And I think back to like some people who don't even have a struggle like what I went through. They're just kind of programmed for loneliness now. Mm-hmm. How do you get out of that? I don't think you can. Like, it's very difficult to get out of that without being, if you can't acknowledge, or if it's such an important part of culture now, it's such a huge part of culture to have loneliness baked into it that they don't even realize it's something they may want to get away from.
Yeah. Well, this is where I think that you're right in saying that envy is more rampant in our society than ever. And I think part of that is we are constantly being reminded through social media of what other people have, and we're more able to contrast, like, we don't have that ourselves. Yeah. So whether it's like, well, this girl that I went to college with is on a trip every other weekend. It seems like she has like this ability to travel, and why don't I have that? And why can't I backpack through Italy at a moment's notice? And then like this other person is buying a house and I want to buy a house. Like, why can't, you know what I mean? You're constantly questioning your own life decisions, as opposed to being like, I'm gonna move forward, and if I want to, whatever your small goals are, because I think it's just as important to have small goals in life. Like, not everything can be huge. Like, it's great to have big goals, but like you're saying, like, you want to get really into cooking, you want to invest in it, and you found someone who has that passion. Like, like, you're starting it. You don't need to save for 100 years to start doing this. You can just start it whenever. Yeah.
And to that point, like, I gotta tell you that, like, I hate to sound like Jordan Peterson, even though my impression is like legendary. Save it for another day. But like, when I stopped comparing myself to my peers and generally like started evaluating, like, improving myself, my physical fitness went better, my financials went way better, my self-esteem went better, like everything grew. I'm telling you, like, there is a knowledge and a beauty to ancient wisdom that I feel that our generation and the generations younger to us that simply do not comprehend. And I thought I did because I played a lot of games, and a lot of games are like like the setting is like ye olde world. Yeah. It's like knights and maidens and whatnot. And like, I pride myself that one of my superpowers is that, I don't know how to say this in English. Aprendo de mano ajena. Like, I learn from others' mistakes. Like, I don't gotta put my hand in water to know it's wet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, honestly. And I feel like a lot of people do. Like, they just like want to ram through the wall, feel the pain, and be like, can't do that.
Yeah. I think also people want lives that like are not in line with the life they are currently living, and then they wake up every day being like, but why isn't my life like this other life? And you have to, dare I say, customize your life. Like, if you want to live differently, you make micro changes until you get that. You can't just like sit and do the like same thing over and over again and wonder why you aren't getting these goals that you kind of like. One thing, like they say in the Catholic Church or like in the Episcopalian Church, is like the intentions you hold in your heart. Like, there are things that like you want, but are you actively like pursuing them? Are you like taking the steps towards them, right? And I think, sorry to go all the way back to our robber story here, I think being like, I am justified in causing someone else harm because they have something that I want, but I am not willing to put in the work to get them, and accept that I may never be able to have $10 million worth of jewelry, but maybe I could honestly buy a nicer piece of jewelry. Yeah. Like, that's not what they want. They want to feel justified in like sort of, they might, like, it's like if they think they're Robin Hood, except they're, instead of like stealing from the rich to help the poor, they're stealing from the rich to help their own ego,
to help themselves.
And like the beauty, like the funniest thing is like the biggest wealth of the Kardashians is seemingly the fact that, like, despite all their flaws, they're a very tight-knit family.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, it's not like there's a lot of millionaires that when they become millionaires, they like isolate from their families even more.
Do you remember that
They're not
clip?
that at all.
That clip of the guy on who goes to see who's the Dr. Phil, and he's like, why would I talk to my family? They don't have any followers on social media. Did you
I've
ever
never
see
seen that clip.
It's freaking.
Oh
hilarious.
yeah, it's like girls like
I could never.
just trying to be a superstar and whatever.
Yeah, like it's really, and like I couldn't tell if it was a parody or a joke, or you never can tell anymore. But it's like it was too ridiculous to believe. But he's like, why would I talk to my mom? She doesn't have any followers. He's like, it's your
crazy.
mom.
And like to like, I
But
guess
what they're saying is like they're interacting with them doesn't do anything for me because I can't gain more attention from it. Like that's really messed up.
Awful.
I think that truly, as I grow older, and sorry for being Boomer Dane, that as I grow older,
I
like
love it. I love Boomer Dane.
We
Boomer
love Boomer
Dane.
Dane.
The beauty in life is community. And like there's something that Michael Malice says, and I think it's the most genius and beautiful thing he says, is that it's so easy being the guy or the gal that takes your friend out for lunch during their birthday. Mm-hmm. And what does it cost? Like if you take them somewhere cheap, like what, $20? And for like $20, you can be that guy that just made a memory.
Yeah. And also made that person feel valued, right?
Yeah.
Like that's that's the best thing you could do for anyone. Like show them that they are a valuable person in your life.
Absolutely.
And I think we should all strive to be the guy and gal that invites randomly the friends out for coffee, the guy and gal that will dog sit, the guy and gal that will babysit. Mm-hmm. Like the person that will help move. Because like
those are the little things that like add up that
they're huge.
And you think you do them like when you're on your own, you're like, of course I would do that, my friends. But a lot of people, like once it comes time to actually do it, don't actually do that. I'm thinking back to, there's a really funny meme. It's not funny. It's actually heartwarming. There's a meme that says like when your friend invites you out for lunch and it's like, hey, let's go. Want to go out to lunch? And the guy's like, I don't have any money. He goes, I didn't ask if you had any money.
Yeah.
And that like that proves that concept of like the friend who's there no matter what resonates with people on a very, very deep level.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.